Now that the welding is completed, I'll transfer the armature to the board. I'm going to bolt the board from the underside. Adding bolts gives the whole structure for the clay model added strength. It also allows me the opportunity, if needs be, when I'm making my mold, to access the bolts from the backside so that I may release the model from the board. Using a paddle bit, I drive into the existing holes, bring it down about 1/4 of an inch, more like 5/16 of an inch, allow the nut and a washer if I need be. Make sure that those countersunk holes are nice and deep so that when the nuts are attached, the board can lay flat. Stirring my amber shellac, I'm going to put a liberal coating of amber shellac on the entire armature board and metal. You want it on the metal so that it prevents rusting. Since the water-bound clay that I use will cause it to rust, and the rust will bleed through into the clay. And when the clay, water-bound clay, has rust in it, it hardens like a rock and around the metal, and is quite unattractive to work with. I've completely covered it, given it 2 coats, coated the butterflies and the steel wire, the baling wire. Everything's been coated twice. And you see that nice amber appearance. This clay has been in storage for quite a while, and there's a little bit of mold on the surface. Don't throw the clay away. Just scrape off the mold, and your clay will be fine. I'm using a very narrow gauge strong wire to cut the clay. I like to cut the clay into small chunks, at least form them eventually into small chunks so they're hand size. I think that they stack like bricks, and you can pound them onto your model and they'll hold together better. The thing you don't want to have are air pockets in your clay as you're making it. The air pockets will create disasters when you're trying to make a mold. The air pockets can actually collapse and you can get distortion in your final product. So you see these are all just hand-sized little clumps of clay. Okay, I've got these all in palm-sized little nuggets that I'm going to start wrapping. Wrap them like bricks and pound them in. Pound the clay in. I'm not really sure how the composition's going to go on it. I'm going to let some accidents kind of dictate. Again, I use a hammer to just get all the air out. You don't want any air in your model. I'm using the skeleton over there to get a sense of the form, to following the skeleton. I made the decision, since I'm not working from life, to go ahead and build it up as a skeleton. That's always kind of fun to do when working with conjecture. Pounding some of the armature back in that might be protruding. Now I'll just start to model some of the skeleton to get a sense of proportion. It's always kind of fun to create a model with the bone structure and model over the bones. Who knows where it's going to go. Aristotle quoted Agathon saying, "Art loves chance and chance loves art."